They told you the story, but they didn't tell you the truth. Every mystery leaves a record. Find it here.
April 14th, 1865, Washington, D.C. The Civil War was almost over. The streets were filled with celebration. America believed peace had finally arrived. But inside a crowded theater, under glowing chandeliers and thunderous laughter, a single gunshot shattered the future of the United States. What if I told you the assassin didn't try to escape quietly? What if I told you this wasn't just one man's crime, but part of a larger, terrifying conspiracy? And what were Abraham Lincoln's final words before he died? Stay with me until the end, because this story is more shocking than you think. Before we begin, if you love true American history, powerful untold stories, and mysteries that shaped this nation, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, let's step back into that night. In April 1865, America was exhausted. The Civil War had torn the country apart for 4 long years. Over 600,000 Americans were dead. Cities were destroyed. Families were divided. But hope was finally returning. On April 9th, 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant. The war was ending. And at the center of it all stood President Abraham Lincoln, the tall, weary man who had carried the burden of the nation on his shoulders. Lincoln believed in reconciliation. He didn't want revenge. He wanted healing. But not everyone shared that vision. John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor, handsome, charismatic, well-known across America. But beneath the stage lights and applause, he was furious. Booth was a Confederate sympathizer. He believed Lincoln had destroyed the South. He believed Lincoln was a tyrant. And he believed killing him would save America. At first, Booth didn't plan to kill Lincoln. He planned to kidnap him. Yes, this assassination started as a kidnapping plot. Booth gathered co-conspirators. They followed Lincoln's movements. They planned routes. But the end of the war changed everything. When Lee surrendered, Booth became desperate. Instead of kidnapping the president, he decided to murder him. But here's a question for you. Was Booth acting alone in his anger? Or was he encouraged by others who wanted Lincoln gone? It was Good Friday. Lincoln decided to attend a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. The play was a comedy called Our American Cousin. The audience was relaxed, celebrating. Lincoln sat in a balcony box with his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, and 2 guests. There was almost no security. Let that sink in. The President of the United States, in a public theater, with minimal protection. Around 10:15 p.m., Booth quietly entered the theater. As a famous actor, he knew the building well. He slipped past guards. He walked up the stairs. He stood outside the presidential box. Inside, the audience roared with laughter at a joke on stage. And in that exact moment, Booth opened the door. He stepped forward. He raised a .44 caliber Derringer pistol and fired. The bullet struck Lincoln in the back of the head. Mary Lincoln screamed. Major Henry Rathbone tried to stop Booth, but Booth stabbed him and leapt from the balcony onto the stage. As he landed, he reportedly shouted, "Sic semper tyrannis," thus always to tyrants. Tyrants. The audience thought it was part of the play. Then they realized it wasn't. Booth ran out of the theater into the night. Lincoln lay unconscious, never to wake again. Pause for a moment. Imagine being there, hearing the laughter turn into horror, seeing a nation's leader collapse before your eyes. How would you react? Would you chase the assassin or freeze in fear? Doctors rushed Lincoln across the street to a boarding house. They laid him on a small bed. He was too tall, His body lay diagonally across it. He never regained consciousness. Cabinet members gathered. Military officers stood silently. Mary Lincoln wept uncontrollably. At 7:22 a.m. on April 15, 1865, Abraham Lincoln died. Secretary of War Edwin Stanton said the famous words, "Now he belongs to the ages." America had lost its leader just days after the war ended. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. Booth didn't act alone. On the same night, another conspirator attacked Secretary of State William Seward in his home. Another planned to kill Vice President Andrew Johnson, but lost his nerve. This was a coordinated attack. The goal? Destroy the U.S. government leadership in one night. Imagine if they had succeeded. What would America look like today? Would the Union have survived? Booth fled on horseback into the countryside. For 12 days, he hid in barns and swamps. The entire nation hunted him. Newspapers printed updates daily. Soldiers searched everywhere. Finally, on April 26, 1865, Booth was found hiding in a tobacco barn in Virginia. Union soldiers surrounded it. They ordered him to surrender. He refused. The barn was set on fire. Inside, Booth stood armed. A soldier shot him in the neck. He died hours later. His reported final words were, "Useless, useless." 8 conspirators were arrested. 4 were executed by hanging. The nation demanded justice, but Lincoln's death changed Reconstruction forever. Instead of healing under Lincoln's guidance, America entered one of its most turbulent eras. Violence in the South increased. Racial tensions intensified. Some historians believe Lincoln's survival could have changed history dramatically. Do you agree? Do you think America would look different today if Lincoln had lived? Comment below. I really want to hear your thoughts. Lincoln's funeral train traveled through multiple states. Millions of Americans stood silently as it passed. Black and white citizens alike mourned him. He became a martyr, a symbol of unity, a symbol of freedom. President ever assassinated? But here's one last question. Was Booth truly just an angry actor? Or was there a deeper network that history never fully uncovered? Why was presidential security so weak? Could the assassination have been prevented? History gives us answers, but it also leaves us with mysteries. If this story shocked you, if it made you think, if you learned something new about American history, make sure you like this video, comment your opinion, and subscribe for more untold American true stories. Because history is not just dates and names, it's moments that changed everything. And sometimes, it only takes one bullet.